but I hope you've all had a taste and a recognition that awakening is always here and now. It doesn't have anything to do with improving yourself, getting better. It has nothing to do with time, because awakening is timeless. It's that dimension of ourselves that is eternal. Right? So that true self or true heart, and when I use the word heart, it's heart with a capital H, or coração with a capital C, is the one being that we all are. It's looking through all of our eyes right now. Right? The one being that we all are is looking through our eyes, and it's animating all of these forms. And it's actually animating all form, whether sentient or insentient. If you let go deeply enough, and maybe some of you had a taste when we were meditating together this morning, you'll actually recognize that there is no subject that is distinct from object. Right? So the fundamental contraction, you could say, or illusion that the ego creates, the separate self, which is what I mean by ego, is that I am in here, and everything outside my skin is not me, is out there. Okay, so that's one simple way to understand what ego consciousness is. It creates the illusion that you, whoever you are a skin encapsulated separate entity in a world of objects, of others and things, and a whole universe that's out there, that's separate from you. Yeah, you all get that? Yeah. But none of you, and no human being, and no being whatsoever, has ever experienced such a reality, such a world, such a universe. Why? Because there is no body, mind, or world that can be experienced separate from consciousness itself, separate from you. Okay? So, I know this is a pretty radical idea to let in, but it's not really an idea. So, if you want to discover it, it's not about believing in a concept. You see, you have to look into your own direct experience, even now. And if you're able to just directly perceive, free from the filter of the mind, right, free from the presumption that I'm in here and you and the world is out there, free from labeling anything like that's Glenn and he's got a beard and he's wearing white socks, right, and there's Bernard and he's got a moustache and there's a bag out there that's blue and red. Do you see? This is all the activity of the mind. Right? It is the mind that divides and distinguishes and draws attention to this, to that, as I was saying in the meditation, you see. So, nothing wrong with the mind. We need the mind to function here. But prior to our identification with the mind, and prior to the movement of attention, red bag, blue shirt, Robinson, you see what I mean? So our attention can move anywhere at any moment in the field of this whole event, right? But prior to that movement, always we are simply consciousness itself. Or a nice way to describe it is we are feeling attention. Right? So there's attention, but it's not just something cerebral or mental. This is really to do with the heart. It's a feeling, intuitive communion with everything that is. So, you know, you or anybody could insist or believe that there is a subject and there is an object, that there's me in here, but you can't prove it. You can't find that division. Where is it? Where does it begin? If you really look into it, you won't be able to find a division of in here and out there. But if you insist on identifying with the body, right, I am the body and I am the mind, well then of course it seems to be true. Do you see what I mean? Are you following me? So this is what's known as ignorance in the Eastern tradition. But if we begin to let go, to relinquish our compulsive identification with being me, Pete, Lewis, Lawrence, Tiago, me and my history, and I'm different and I'm separate and I'm from you, you see? We start to relinquish that identification if we meditate and contemplate these big questions. We might start to discover that who we are absolutely, fundamentally, is this consciousness itself in which the body and the mind and the world appear. Okay? So the presumption of Western scientific materialism is there's an external world, body, mind, and consciousness is an epiphenomenon of the brain. Right? But they haven't been able to prove that one yet. And they never will. You see? But the scientific materialism reduces consciousness to matter as an epiphenomenon of the brain. So in the scientific Western materialist paradigm, which we're all a product of, no matter how spiritual we think we are, we've all been raised in this paradigm. What is fundamentally real is matter, is the world, is the universe. This is what's real. This is what's continuous. And then there's just little old me in my skin-encapsulated body-mind. You know, just trying to do the best I can in this threatening, intimidating, complex, chaotic event. You see. So can you just feel even as I described that, because I felt it. You see, there's just a contraction there. You see, it's like me. I'm in here, and then there's maybe when things are going well and the sun's out and we're happy, we open up a bit and go, yeah, well, life's pretty good, pretty groovy, But as soon as things aren't going our way, we start worrying about the future. What's happening in this crazy world? You see. So this self-contraction, which is fundamental recoil, it's a recoil from the whole display, the whole event. It's an avoidance of relationship. Right? This is what the ego is. It's one way to define it. You're with me?
Yeah.
So on the wall outside, around the corner, if you haven't seen it yet, there's two diagrams. One of them's representing our true nature, and one of them's representing this self-contraction of ego. And you'll see on the model about the ego, it goes into a little more detail about what the ego does, what it looks like, how it expresses itself. I'm sure you'll be able to recognize some of the characteristics. Maybe not all of them, but definitely some of them. So waking up, and it doesn't matter even if it's a tiny glimpse, right? But it's when you realize or recognize, even for a split second, oh my God, it was never true. I've never not been free. I've never been unfree. That's the recognition. My whole story and all my problems and all my dramas and everything that's happened to me, it never even happened. And when I say it never even happened, I mean it doesn't touch or change or affect in any way the deepest consciousness that you and I and we all are. So as I was saying in the guided meditation, every 24 hours, whatever you want to, we believe that is, that's also a creation of mind. Time is a creation of mind. Right? So we go through waking, dreaming, sleeping. If you believe that who you are is the body-mind, well then who are you when you're dreaming? And who are you when you're in deep sleep? Are you obliterated? Because if you were obliterated, well, you'd be very afraid to go to sleep at night. You'd be terrified. It would be like confronting death, wouldn't it? Think about that. So, this consciousness, this one self, is eternal. It's always already the case. And then, when we wake up in the morning, as I was saying, here's the character, Pete, Marco, Ricardo, Luis, Fabio, right? It all seems very familiar. You look in the mirror. Yeah, it seems somewhat the same. Oh, we have to have a bit of a shave. The hair's grown a bit, whatever. But you see my point is that the consciousness that's actually looking through your eyes is not the form. Right? The form is being animated, and in this case the masculine form is being animated and lived. You are being lived by a principle, a reality that transcends your own form. And that's very obvious. I mean, think about it. Do you have to digest your food? Are you busy digesting your food right now? It's all being taken care of, right? Is anyone making sure their food's digesting right now? It's all being taken care of. We're breathing, right? And this is why it's also very good to breathe fully and deeply, as I've been saying, and to do the breath of life, to do the breathing meditation, because it puts you in touch with the fact, I am being breathed, I am being lived. Do you get it? You see, so the arrogance of the ego is, I am living my life. This is my life, and I'm living it. And I was born at such and such a time, and I'm doing all of this. I'm doing everything. You see? No, we're not. So I hope you've all you had some recognition and taste of this, even if it's just a glimpse. Because that is what waking up is. You see, because waking up, when you wake up, even if it's a small glimpse, a vislumbre, as you say in Portuguese, then somewhere you know that who you are is not the ego, and maybe never has been. And then suddenly that gives you a bit more space, and perhaps some more humour and lightness of being in relationship to this whole drama of being a human being in a crazy world. You see what I mean? It gives you a bit of perspective. You don't take it quite so seriously. Frees you up. Do you get it?